And millions of people injured. You know, he lied about masks, he lied about social distancing, he lied about the transmission.
Here to weigh in is HHS Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. Mr. Secretary, what do Fauci's private diaries reveal most to you?
Well, let me add one thing to that kind of litany of parade of horribles that we just saw. We had in our country, because of Dr. Fauci's leadership and other reasons, we had the highest mortality rate from COVID of any country in the world. So we literally did worse than any nation in the world. We had a death rate in our country of 3,000 per million population. There were other countries, for example, Africa. All the countries in Africa averaged about 350 deaths, so 1/10 of what we had in this country. There were nations like Nigeria and Haiti that had 14 per million population, so 1/200th of what we had. We could not have done better. The mismanagement of this pandemic and these diaries, and then the media malpractice that told us all we had to trust the experts, and that he was the expert that they elevated. And anybody who did not give complete blind faith to these expert opinions, which we now know were lies, was marginalized, vilified, demonized, censored.
Canceled.
Yeah, I mean, I pointed out that this almost certainly came from the Wuhan lab, and I lost my Instagram was canceled with 1 million followers for misinformation. I never put any misinformation up. I put up all the things that we now know are true, and it was called misinformation, and the press was part of this collaboration. It was corrupt, and it did tremendous damage to the media in this country and to America's faith in that very important democratic institution. It also did incalculable damage to public health. My agency, when I walked into it, had a less than 30% trust from the American people, down from about 80% before the pandemic. Americans no longer trust public health.
That's terrible.
Because they were lied to. And you asked about the diaries. And we produced these. You know, it took us about 8 months to dig these out of 11 separate servers where they had been sequestered and secreted, and we handed them over this week to Rand Paul and Ron Johnson because they already have ongoing investigations and should see this. But I think the starkest impression that you get from reading these diaries is this massive dichotomy between what he was saying privately and what he was simultaneously saying publicly. He says in his diaries on January 30th that the Wuhan lab could not possibly be the source of the virus.
Oh, we know that was all false.
And then, well, we all know it, but
Yeah.
now his diary, he says he knew that, and yet for 2 years he told us that
But
was
he was
the case.
he was given a pardon prospectively from the last administration. We don't know if it was an auto pen pardon. It doesn't really matter for legality purposes, but Americans want to know, a lot of them, is there going to be any accountability for trillions of dollars lost, children's education destroyed, and public health reputation, public health industry reputation shattered?
Yeah, and millions of people injured. You know, he lied about masks, he lied about social distancing, he lied about the transmission, he lied about natural immunity, he lied about the capacity, as you just said, of the vaccine to prevent infection. He got vaccinated a very, very public press conference in January of 2020. And then 5 months later, he had, and this is the first time that we knew this from the diary, he had a pulmonary infarction, which is one of the adverse events that NIH, CDC, and FDA said are expected from the vaccine. He never told anybody. He got treated for it privately by the best doctors in America. At the same time, he was telling everybody that that was not an adverse event.
Is there anything else we're missing from these diaries that has not been released that you can share with us tonight?
I don't think, I mean, I have to say a lot of this stuff is in my book, but based upon other documents. But there's something very dramatic even for me, of seeing him write it in his own journal, confessing to being wrong, to lying about all
also
this
loving
stuff.
his own press. I mean, they're going on and on. Well, I'm the most famous person in the world, internationally and nationally. I can't even go out to a restaurant because people want to take pictures of me. I mean, even if that was true, but why would you write it? That's just a bizarre thing. For all they say about Trump, Trump's an egomaniac. That's all they say about Trump. He has a healthy ego, for sure. Anyone who's president is. But this was America's doctor, Mr. Secretary. Why would he waste time talking about how beloved he is?
Yeah, I mean, the worst part is that giddy narcissism that you see throughout the diary is juxtaposed against really bad public health decisions. So his focus was on self-promotion, clearly, and nobody can read these diaries and say this is a political response. His focus was on promoting himself, on getting on TV, and not doing public health.
Didn't he get some award? He's working at Georgetown, I believe, or got some position at Georgetown. What do you say to Georgetown University tonight?
Well, I say read the diaries. Read, and then, you asked about the possibility of him actually facing justice.
He's a professor there.
He's going to testify in front of Rand Paul's committee this week. He has immunity against all of the things that he did prior to President Biden signing, or the electronic pen signing his pardon, but he could perjure himself now. So there are many things that he said that we know are lies, and Rand Paul presumably is going to ask him about those things. And if he lies again, then he could be subject to perjury prosecution.
I hope he'll come back, because I don't think we've seen the end of this. You have done an incredible job in your book on this topic. A lot of people wish they hadn't gotten that shot. A lot of people that come up to that, I wish I never did it. I was scared. I wanted to travel. They scared people into getting an experimental shot. That itself is that's taking away our human liberties.
Yeah, and one of the, I'll be very quick, but one of the crimes that he committed was failing to stratify risk. So he told us we were all at, 5 or 7%. Right. Children were at functionally 0%. So there was no upside to them taking that vaccine, and yet it was given to all of them.
Masking children, giving shots to infants. Mr. Secretary, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.